Hello and welcome to Not One Right Way, the podcast. It's your host, Melissa, she, her, and
It's me, Marv. They, them, theirs.
hi, Marv. Happy 2025.
Happy 2025. Wow,
It
we
can
did it.
only go up from here, I'm sure.
Is it down right now? Is it not up for you?
I'm not talking about me personally, I'm talking about the world as a whole, but
Okay. Shoot. Yeah.
not to start on a downer. How are you, Marv? How was your holiday break?
Pretty good. I got to spend some time with one of my sisters. I haven't seen her in a while, so it was good. And I got sick.
Oof.
A little bit of that
I'm sorry.
happens. Ate a lot of pozole. Ate a lot of red chili.
That sounds nice.
Yeah. How about you? How's it been lately?
Good. I just got back from Miami visiting family, which was, as always, an experience. But I got to see my sister, which was great. She still doesn't listen to the podcast. So she says she loves me, but when she does stuff like that, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. My sister listened to the first 5 minutes of our trailer episode, and she's like, yeah, it sounds pretty good. And I'm like, not the actual content. You're not interested in the other episodes.
Like our amazing guests.
We release stuff weekly, and you can't make it 5 minutes through
the trailer. Like, you could go 1.5 speed.
Yeah.
If that's the problem for you.
2 times speed. I wouldn't even care that much.
Just be a devoted listener for your sibling.
Yeah.
Yeah. My sister, she's like, I mean, do you talk about me? So I'm going to make a concerted effort to talk about her each episode so that she has to listen.
Oh my God.
But we did watch a lot of Abbott together, which was nice.
That's good. So Abbott recently, anything else you've been watching?
I just finished the final quotation mark seasons of The Dragon Prince.
Oh.
Just came out on Netflix. I have a lot of thoughts. Yeah. No spoilers because it did just come out. But final season? I don't know. I mean, it is because Netflix isn't renewing it, but they really didn't do a good job at wrapping it up. That's how I would phrase it. I'm a little annoyed, right. But it was still pretty, and the show looks so hard to make. But I can't watch things like a normal person.
You can't.
Just how could they afford all these character variants?
Yeah.
Did you watch anything other than Christmas movies?
I think since the last time we talked, I've watched a couple movies in theaters. I watched Y2K. Love it. Very fun. Very fun. And then I watched Nosferatu just recently.
Ooh, I want to watch that.
And Wicked. And something else, I'm sure. That's what me and my sister would do. We would just go to the movies every Tuesday when it's matinee day.
Yeah. Cheaper on Tuesday.
Yeah.
My sister and I saw Moana 2. That was my third time seeing Moana 2. Seen it 3 times now in theaters. So.
Dedication to your craft.
Not it's not something that I would have sought out personally. I wanted to see Wicked with my sister, but she was like, let's go see Moana. I was like, okay. But yeah, I've seen Moana 2 3 times now. And the only thing I have to say is Moana's arms are beautiful. The upgrade on, she's so buff in the second movie. I just can't stop staring at her arms the whole movie. It's insane.
That was so straight heterosexual of you to say.
I'm sorry.
I'm not editing that out.
It's really amazing. I'm not taking that back. If you watch Moana 2, just look at her arms. It's a feat of modeling. The animation team, thank you for your work. Obsessed. Okay.
Clearly.
Speaking of Disney, our guests today actually work there, and I'm very excited to have them on. Their name is Nicole Pacheco. She is a production administration worker, has had a lot of cool experience, actually went to school in Florida, so another Floridian maybe? I'm excited to learn more. welcome Nicole.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Happy to be here. Happy 2025. Glad we made it. Let's see how much longer we last.
So true. So true. So how are you doing this morning, Nicole?
I'm good. I had my little coffee. So, I can't complain.
Yeah,
and
good if you wanted to.
If I wanted to, and I do love doing that. But it's only like the third day of the year. I'm going to save my complaints. Like, I don't want to just start off too strong with the complaints. I want to like pepper them in. I want to sprinkle them out and have a really balanced nutritional year of 2025.
Nice. So true.
I love that. Balanced nutritional year.
Yes.
That's a good goal.
We'll see. I love complaining, so we'll see. Yes, go on.
I also love to complain. How was your break? I don't know if you had like a break, but the past 2 weeks.
I did have a break. I lost complete track of time. Not that I'm very good at keeping track of it regularly anyways, but it's a break. Like, holiday break is always so interesting because I feel like I'm just like floating through time and space. Nothing really matters. You're just like eating and sleeping. You wake up and it's like 3 p.m. Sometimes you wake up and it's like 11. I don't know. You exist in a different world, in a different realm.
Definitely.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't know if I feel rested. I just feel like I just came back through a portal and now I'm in the real world again. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I landed in Cali and suddenly my brain was like, remember all those things you were supposed to do?
Yeah.
Life and work.
The list is back.
The stress immediately returned to my body.
Yeah.
But it was gone. It was gone for a little bit.
Exactly. You're like in limbo for a little bit, and it is nice. There's a lot of nice things about it.
Yeah. I usually replace my work and life stress with family stress when I go on holiday break. So it was like a different portal. I go into a different portal and then I come back and it's like, when is my break? Right now. It's like the time between going back to work.
Makes so much sense. Actually, I opted out of going back to family. Not that I like despise them or anything, but I'm also Latina and I don't know. Sometimes I just need like to be on my own, living my own life, doing my own things. Love my family, but they can be a lot sometimes. And it's also really stressful. Also, why do I always have to go over there? They never come over here. So,
facts.
Like I always have to be the one that travels. I always have to ride American Airlines and like die at the airport. Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by American Airlines.
Not sponsored. #, not sponsored by American Airlines.
Or like whenever you fly, it's just like it gets to be too much. Like when I first moved out here to LA from Florida, but I mean, like I'm not Floridian. Sorry to disappoint the listeners. I'm actually Brazilian. My family moved to Florida and I kind of grew up like my teenage years, in Florida, like my late childhood and then teenage years in Florida. And then moved to LA to get the hell out of there and to work. So, but what was I saying? Yeah, when I first moved from Florida to LA, I was doing the whole like going to visit my family like multiple times. I was going for Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's horrible. Don't ever do that. Like flying for a week and then coming back for only like 2 weeks and then having to fly again. And ticket prices are not cute. They're ugly, actually. And I was doing that for like the first like 3 years. I was doing that for 3 years, the first 3 years that I was out here. And my family like still has never come to visit me and they have like all their excuses or whatever. My brother is visiting me, but my parents, and they're the ones that have the most to say. Anyways.
Everything you're saying, I relate to on a spiritual level.
It's like, why do I have to always be the one? And it's expensive and it's time-consuming and stressful. I have to like live out of a suitcase for 2 weeks. Anyways, yeah, I was doing all of that. I was doing too much. And then COVID happened and I was like, I'm not going. And then after that, I stopped doing the double feature of going for Thanksgiving and Christmas, New Year's and all of that. I just go like once, maybe twice a year and I like space it out. And this year I didn't go. And I was like, if you guys want to see me, you can come here.
Preach.
Sorry, traveling tangent. I don't know. Anyone who like, I feel like lives away from like their nuclear family can maybe understand. I feel like it's always on them to be traveling. It's always like on the child to be traveling, right? To wherever the rest of the family is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why is it always me? I live in the cooler place. I don't want to go to Florida.
What part of Florida is your family living in?
Central Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
so
the,
like close to
extra
Orlando.
boring part.
Right.
Super boring. So like not Orlando, where at least there's like something to salvage there, and at least like that's where some of the gay people are. I'm so sorry, gay people in Florida, but they don't even live in Orlando. They live like 45 minutes away in like a small town. It's awful. It's so horrible. There's nothing to do. Everyone's like racist and gross. Anyways, I don't want to go there. They should come here. There's like places to like visit and like things to do, and I want to show them around, but they're very stubborn.
I get that.
Yeah.
Relatable. Thank you for sharing that. I feel really validated.
Oh, I'm so glad, and thank you for understanding me, because not everyone that I talk to like understands it. They like sympathize. They're just like, oh, I'm sorry, but people's families are different, so yeah, connection.
Wow, thank you for that little peek into your life. Glad to know all Latina kids have this struggle when they move out.
Right, seems to be a theme.
Marv, would you like to start us off with your hard-hitting question of the day?
Yes. So, Nicole, you already heard a little bit about this. I'm a social worker. A lot of my job is asking people a lot of questions about themselves and not responding. This time I will respond, but my question for you is, what song is stuck in your head right now?
What song is stuck in my head right now? I don't have one, which is crazy because I have ADHD, and usually there's something on repeat. It's not always a song.
Okay.
A lot of the time it's lines from shows and movies, and that's even more annoying. I don't really have one right now. Let me think of like the last one I had, though.
I can share mine while you think.
Please.
Mine is still Apache by Rosé and
Oh my
Bruno Mars.
gosh. Yeah. That one, when it first came out, was stuck in my head. It's true.
Still brain rotting in there.
Honestly, for me, it was a lot of Chaperone this year. I think like Hot to Go was really stuck in my head for a long time, but more than any of the other songs, it was Red Wine Supernova, and that's honestly my favorite song by her. That was stuck in my head a lot. I think that was the most recent one.
My sister didn't know who Chapel Roan was. Just want to throw that out there. Just want to throw that out there. She's 14. She's old enough to know who Chapel Roan is.
Isn't she like online at all?
She's on a different side. That's for certain.
Yeah. Other side.
That's very interesting. Like, I wonder what's on her FYP.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm so nosy. I want to know, like, if I could have information just like for free or whatever, I want to like dive into other people's FYP and like compare them. Like, I just like want that lens. I want to know what everyone's is. That would be so time consuming though, wouldn't it? But it's just so interesting to me. Like, what are you seeing every day?
You want to be the FBI NSA agent?
Yeah, me too. I want to be the guy in the webcam.
Yeah.
I'm just so nosy. Like, I want to know.
Marv, what song is stuck in your head?
Yeah.
Today, it was This Kiss by Faith Hill.
Do I know that one?
I don't know. Let me see. When did it come out? 1998. I wasn't alive.
Oh, wow. I was. I'm a hag.
But for me, it's just this part. It's centrifugal motion. It's perpetual bliss. Just those two lines.
Oh, those are really fun words.
Yeah. Because I was spinning something and I'm like, it's centrifugal motion. And I was like, this kiss. Yeah. That's how songs get stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had the Dancing Through Life from the Wicked movie part, but it's like the most boring part because it has Bach in it. But it's like, he goes, hey, Nessa. Yes, Nessa. That whole interaction played on loop in my head for like 3 weeks. The rest of the song didn't matter. It was just that interaction. And it's just because it's so, like, it sticks. It's so good. Yeah. But it's Bach, and nobody likes Bach.
Yeah. That's so sad. So tragic, BFF.
Thanks. It's awful. It's going to be stuck in my head now that I said it. Nicole, why don't you share with the listeners and with us a little bit about your background, how you became a production person, or like knew you wanted to be in animation? Was it when you went to college? Was it post-college? Give us your lore.
Okay, lore time. Try not to babble too much or like go off on tangents. That's my problem. If I go off on a tangent, reel me back. But I always liked like movies and TV shows and video games, right? And I really liked stories just growing up in general. And I was the kid that like my dad had a camera and stuff. So like I would take the camera and like film the TV of me playing a game or like film my toys and create like backstories for them with like my brother. We created like our own little toy TV shows, that type of stuff. So I was like, okay, creative in that way. Also, my dad, videographer, skydiver, cameraman, always had the equipment around. So I think I just got lucky in that I had the exposure to that equipment as a child. So I was always interested in that stuff. And my parents, thankfully, are very supportive of like creative endeavors because my dad is also like very creative. And my mom is just like she's very anxious herself. So she would never pursue like creative stuff, but she's encouraging of it at least. So I had that predisposition or like I was exposed to that growing up. So when it came to college time, my parents were very much like, obviously immigrants, they're like, you need to go to college. We don't care what it's for. You need to go to college because that's how you make money in America and you better make money. And I was like, okay. So eldest daughter, immigrant, college time, I had to choose. And I was like, well, I don't want to choose something boring and I don't want to choose something horrible because I'm going to be in debt anyways. All of this is very expensive. So I might as well choose something that I'm interested in, right? So I'm like, what's a catch-all for like storytelling, filming, design, writing, all of that stuff? Filmmaking. You get to do everything. You get to learn like the different, little facets, right? Like, okay, I'm going to go to some sort of film school or college with like a film program that'll actually get me a job. Like that will teach me how to actually either be on set or work behind the scenes or whatever it is, right? I wasn't necessarily set on animation, although loved animation. Grew up watching anime, all of that stuff. Watched Toonami on the television, Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, all that stuff, right? Obsessed. Cringely obsessed. So I'm wearing a Kirby shirt. Stop. So was always into anime and animation in general. Also loved Western animation like Teen Titans. Loved that show. Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, SpongeBob. Watched all that stuff all the time. So I loved animation, but because I couldn't really draw, I wasn't like an artist in that sense. I preferred like writing and doing other things. So I couldn't draw. So I couldn't animate. So I was like, maybe that's off the table. I can't be part of animation because you have to be able to draw to be in animation. That's like the normie like vision of like the animation industry because they don't tell you that there's like other jobs in animation, right? So I was like, I'm going to film school to work with storytelling and film and all of that stuff. So I was like set to go on a live action route. But then also I don't recommend this, but it worked for me. So, I don't know. Take your own advice. I only applied to one university.
Whoa.
And got in, thankfully, to the film program at Florida State University, which is in Tallahassee. Shout out, whatever the mascot is, I forgot. I was not into like the college actual experience. I did not care. I just wanted to get my film degree and leave. I got into the film program, thankfully, very lucky. I very grateful to the experience, but I also worked very hard for it. So also it's not all luck. It's like a combination of like hard work and luck. So, very grateful, but also I did that. But I only applied to one school, thankfully got in and then went. And I also didn't go right after high school. I want to also point that out. I took a break and I worked because, hey, immigrant family, no money. So I had to save up money to go to college myself. So and even then, it wasn't like nearly enough, but we made it shake. Got in, applied to one film school, got in. They only accepted 30 students every year. So it was very like insulated, very like difficult to get in and difficult to stay in. There was a lot of rules. You could never be late. People got kicked out for being late. We started with 30. I think we ended with like 24, 23 students at the end. People left. People got kicked out. They were pretty strict in a lot of the rules, but it's because they were preparing you to be in the industry, which is what I wanted. That's why I went to this program. I was like, okay, I want something that's going to be like real and, actually going to teach me how to work in this industry because I want to, one, get out of Florida, two, not do something that I hate. Mm-hmm. So went to Florida State University for 4 years. And the way that program worked is that the first 2 semesters, everybody was together in the same track. And then after the first 2 semesters, so the first semester, you make a short film that's like 4 minutes long. Second semester, you make a documentary. Great experiences. And your crew is your classmates, your colleagues in that class. Like that is your crew for 4 years when you're in that program. And you also don't go to like the rest of the college campus, we were in one building all the time. So my college experience is like very specific and interesting because I didn't have like the regular college experience. I don't even tell people that I went to college because I went to film school. I was in one building. I don't even remember the mascot. I think it's like a problematic one. I don't know. Like I didn't go to any games. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I didn't go to any of like the football games or like the events or any parties or anything. I lived off campus because I was like, and also I was 3 years older than most other people because I took a break in between high school and college to work, save money, and figure out what I really wanted to do. Like, okay, I'm going to commit to film. How do I do it? What's the best way? Right. So I took that break. So everybody around me was like 19, 20 years old. And I was like 23 living on campus drinking alcohol. And they were like, can you please buy? No, I can't. Like, leave me alone. Get off my line. I was living like a different college life. I don't know. The way that the college worked was the film school in that college is first 2 semesters, you're in one track. Then after that, you get split off and you either pick live action or animation. So all the kids who knew how to draw picked animation, duh. And I was like, I don't know how to draw, so I can't do animation. I'll be live action. So I was like on a live action track and I graduated through the live action track. I was on production, like on physical sets, doing all the different, like they have you do, because every semester we had to do a different short film as like our project at the end of the year while taking classes. And then you were on each other's sets working for the second half of that semester. So the first half of the semester, it's like pre-production, writing your scripts, taking classes. Then the second half is you're on set every week, getting everybody's films done. And it's like 15 films. It's like short films, but still, it takes a long time. And then after that, you edit. So it's like the post-production. So you get to do everything, which is great. I'm really glad that I got to do everything and see like how every role worked, because then I found out what I really didn't want to do, what I was okay with doing, and then what I really wanted to do. So I hated being on set. It's a lot of physical labor. It might as well be a trade school. Being on set is just pure physical labor. You are moving lights around. It's heavy. You are moving cameras around. It's heavy. You're building equipment. You're deconstructing equipment. You're moving things around. You're driving trucks. I didn't drive. I don't have a driver's license. I don't want to talk about it. I'm gay. I didn't drive the truck. A lot of people drove the huge, like the equipment truck. There was like driving lessons for the equipment truck. We got lessons on how the different lights worked. We got lessons on lenses and cameras and all of this stuff. We got editing classes, all of that. Loved it, right? But didn't want to be on set. So by the end of film school, I was like, okay, I'm in live action, but I don't want to be on set. There's other things I can do, so I don't have to be on set. I can like either write, or I can work in post, or I can work in pre-production. And I was set on like, maybe I want to go for like producing. And if I have to be on set, then I'm okay with being like an assistant director and like doing the scheduling and the script breakdowns and, you know, calling, you know, things on set. That's like the only thing that I enjoyed doing on set. But thankfully, because of, again, it's always hard work and luck. You have to use both of them, right? So I, especially towards the end of like when film school was coming to an end, I made sure to like connect with the professors that I knew would vouch for me and look out for me. And like I had a good relationship with them, and I showed them and I told them, just be very honest with the people around you about what you want to do. Like, don't think it's like too much or like weird or whatever. Just be like, I want to do this. Like in 5 years or like in 10 years or whatever, I want to be doing this. And tell people what you don't want to do. Also, to be like, I don't want to end up here. I don't want to do this kind of thing. I'm not good at this, or like, I don't want to do this. And so I was just like honest with my professors. I was like, I think I'm into producing and stuff, but I don't want to be on set. And then one of my professors was like, well, you can do that stuff in animation. You don't have to draw. And I was like, interesting. So he actually connected me to somebody who was hiring a production assistant on an animation, like pre-production for an animated movie with Toei Animation. Toei, if you don't know, I think they did like, they're like the Dragon Ball Z studio. Okay. Yeah. They're like big anime studio, right? And they were partnering as well. One Piece as well. Yep. Big anime studio. And they had a partner studio called Marve Animation Planet. That's the studio that did the pre-production for the Sonic movie. And also their Japan studio does all of like the Miku Vocaloid animations for like concerts and stuff like that. Yeah. So they're that kind of like studio. So I was like, ooh. Ooh, I
The
like
weeb in you was
anime
like, let me
and
in.
hey, this is my calling. So I was like, oh my God, yes, please put me up for that, because they were hiring like right after we graduated, right? And it was because I think also like the guy who was hiring like the producer for that like pre-production or for like that animated movie had also been a professor at the college, which is another reason I picked that college, is because they had a lot of good connections. So if you're going to go to college and waste your money, number one like advice I guess that I have is like pick a college that is has good connections, that has a good alumni system, that will connect you directly with alumni and like people that can help get you in to a job. Because that is like the main reason I picked the college that I did, is because their success rate of like getting you a job after graduating was like 95 or something crazy high, because of the alumni system. And they stay connected with you, and they call like alumni and like graduates back to teach and do all of this stuff. So it's like very connected. And with something like film and animation, you have to get connected. And if you don't have any connections, like nobody does when they start off, you have to like put yourself in a place to make those connections. And having a college that does that is like one way to do it, right?
Right.
Yeah. I did not know that FSU had such an insane film program. Like when I was applying, I
Right. It's
didn't
kind of like
consider them.
it's kind of like muted, but Barry Jenkins graduated from FSU Film School.
Barry Jenkins, King.
Moonlight, right?
Yeah.
So he actually came back when I was a student and gave a talk, which was awesome. Got to listen to
It's
him
very cool.
and the crew talk. Very amazing. Very cool man. Anyways, so graduated, professor vouched for me. I got that job because they were like urgently hiring. Mind you, it was a job that did not pay very well. However, it was my foot in, right? So I was like, of course I'm taking it. I'm not going to say no, right? And when you're starting out, you don't have a lot of leverage. So you kind of have to like pick and choose your battles. And the battle I chose is to be like poor, but like doing what I wanted to be doing. Or so thankfully I was able to move out here though with 3 other colleagues from the college, because we're all trying to like work in the same industry. So that saved a lot of money because we roomed together. So we were able to do that. But I was working in animation. Even though I went the live action route, I was still honest about what I wanted. And I asked questions, because also throughout that whole like film school experience, I learned about so many different job titles that you wouldn't even know existed. But when the credits roll at the end of a movie, animated or not, there's a lot of credits. There's a lot of people involved in making lots of movies, and all of those are jobs. And you don't really think about like, how do you even like do that? Or like, what does that even mean? Or like, what's the day to day of that person, right? And like the information is not very readily available, and you have to like research like very key words. It's not easy to get into that. It's not easy to like find those answers. So that is something else that like film school helped me with, is like I had access to that information because you would just ask your professors. They would tell you what to research. They would tell you, oh, this person does this person does that. Oh, you don't have to know how to draw. You don't have to know how to animate. You don't have to know how to design in order to be involved in animation, because there's writers, there's, you know, development, there's pre-production, there's post, there's production management. People have to like make things happen. You don't just draw and that's it. Like, duh. And it's like, duh, logically, yes, that makes sense. But it's like, what are those jobs even called? That's like half the battle, is figuring out what those jobs even are.
Knowledge is power. That's why we started the podcast.
Exactly.
That's
And it's
true.
like, and I'm like an anti-gatekeeper. I'm like a gate opener. I want everyone to know everything so that they can make their decisions the way that they want to, because there's like literally room for everyone. Actually, we need more people, actually. I think we need like more people to like be doing this kind of work. That I don't know why it's like so gatekeeping. It's like, I feel like that we need more like new ideas and people to be doing like all of these different kinds of jobs, so that the environment doesn't get so stagnant, which is kind of how it feels right now. But
yeah, because it often
yeah.
becomes that like one or a select few has all the knowledge, and it becomes this like historical, this one person knows everything, but they don't write it down or pass it down. So if that person like quits or leaves, there becomes a vacuum. And this can happen within a company or just as a whole.
Yeah.
And it just becomes so hard for anyone trying to come in to like gain access to that knowledge because they don't know X or Y person. And it's not functional.
No, not at all.
No.
And basing the success of an entire industry on just knowing someone is very faulty. It's not productive. It's not progressive. You're going to miss a lot of talent that way. They're going to fall through the cracks. They're going to choose something else. They're going to go somewhere else. Like it's not how it works. And then also inversely, like if you're basing a lot of like the success of like an industry, just like, on who you know and how much you can impress them, the skill you're building is like impressing somebody above you rather than building leadership skills. You don't build leadership skills by always like just trying to like know people and like trying to make yourself look impressive to like a specific like executive or whatever. Like you're not build like a set of skills that is very useful to be a team player, to be a leader, specifically to help others, to teach. I don't know. We can get into it, but that's not part of my journey. Sorry. What?
To remain on theme with Wicked, it's like Glinda says, you just have to be popular. It's not about books or knowledge.
Exactly. And I hate that works because like instead of making good leaders, it makes people insufferable.
Yeah. Well, tell us more about your time at Toei Animation. Like, what was it like working on something that you grew up loving?
Well, we were working on an animated movie that I don't think ever actually came out. And let me just like put this out here. A lot of stuff doesn't actually come out. Like a lot of stuff in development, in pre-production, in production, in post doesn't ever get released. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's like a failure. There's so many things at play, right? But there's a lot of things that like get started, get made, but don't necessarily like make it through the pipeline. It's honestly a miracle when anything gets made. A miracle. Whether it's good or bad, whether it's like amazing or trash, I'm just like, wow, it got made. That's amazing. Like it went through that whole guillotine. But we were working on an animated movie with a really interesting crew. And it was really fun because I got to wear a lot of different hats because it was a smaller crew. And I got to work a lot with like post, like, and I got to work a lot like helping with casting. And I got to work a lot with like scratch audio. I actually ended up voicing the main character for Scratch in that whole movie. So I was a lot of the time I was like doing like ADR pickups and like voice acting, which is really fun. So I got to do voice acting. And I got to like help with the storyboard, like meet the story meetings and the design meetings and art meetings. I helped compile lots of like artwork and research for the artists and the storyboard artists and like reference materials and things like that. I attended all the meetings and took all the notes and like distributed them and everything. I scheduled like the production schedule and everything. So I got a lot of exposure to all of the different moving pieces and the teams in an animation production. And I learned a lot from that job. And it was also really fun because we were working in the same building as the Sega marketing team when the first Sonic movie was being marketed. And it was very hilarious.
Did you
for a lot of different reasons.
Ugly Sonics?
I did, and it was really funny. And I was there when they first released the first image of the ugly Sonic, and everything was going up in flames. It was awesome. I loved it.
Whoa.
I'm so glad they changed it, but because the Toei, it was like Toei Marza, right? Marza was like there's a lot of studios and a lot of companies that tend to like combine and work together and to make these things happen. So. But Sega is a sister company also to Marza. So all of these companies are like connected. That's why we were sharing a building with Sega marketing team in America. Very cool experience, very interesting experience. We also always had we were working obviously with the team in Japan. We always had like some of those team members visit. So we had to like host them in the studio. There was a lot of like time different stuff going on, obviously. So like some things we had to schedule like at the very end of the day because it was the beginning of their day there. So like scheduling stuff like that, which was cool. It was just really fun and interesting and eye-opening to see what I had learned in film school happen in real time. and in a larger scale, even though it was like for a smaller, movie team, movie didn't even get released. It was really cool to like see how it actually works and like people actually work in this industry and make things happen or not or whatever. So I'm really grateful for that experience. I really loved that experience. Then after that, I started to apply to other studios after like a little over a year. The movie was kind of like we were kind of like getting the energy, the scent of like this might not be completing, they keep changing the script. There's now like another company involved. So it was getting a little bit messy. And I was like, I've been here for over a year, got really great experience, but I'm not going to be able to like move up anywhere. And this might not finish, the energy. Sometimes you just have to like call it like it is and make your decision. So I was like, you know what, let me just try to like, now that I have like all of this experience, let me try and see like where I can fit into maybe another position or a studio where I can actually like learn more and grow. Cause I feel like here I'm capped, right? I'm capped out. So I started applying to other studios. And I applied to a position at Disney that I didn't get, like that I didn't even go to the interview process, but the recruiter reached out to me and she was like, hey, I saw your resume that you applied for this position, but actually we have a different position that we think that might be better for you. And so do you want to interview for this instead? And I was like, sure, why not? You like my resume? Cool. Like,
Absolutely.
I would love to talk. So the position that I ended up interviewing for was the position that I got, which was as an executive assistant at Disney TV Animation. And I was there for 4 years. And that was a great experience also. Learned a lot more, was there for a lot longer, obviously, because I moved from a production to like an overhead team, right? So it wasn't based on, a contract like production. It was a department. I moved so I had my production experience and then I got my department experience. So I interviewed for that and I got it. Luck and hard work. Again, like it's all the same thing. And that experience was interesting because I started that job pre-pandemic, worked through that job, during the pandemic, and then left after the pandemic. So I worked in person, virtual, hybrid, in person. It was like all over the place. So that experience was definitely like affected by that. It was also like really cool to work for a big studio where like brand is really important, right? And the representing that brand and marketing around the brand and like the kind of content we're going for and the kind of people we want to work with and like all of that stuff. Learned a lot about corporate and how all of that stuff works. And some of it interesting, some of it disheartening. Like I'm just going to be honest.
Definitely.
But the best part about that job was the people that I met and the friends that I made through that job. There's always pros and cons to everything. Pros to being in a big studio: one, stability. Had, good stable paycheck, good stable benefits, a stable schedule, and it wasn't like contract based. You're in a department, you're going to be there for a while. And the people that you meet, you have access to a lot of different kinds of people, artists, talent, executives. You can ask anyone anything. They're very open. Like they love being asked questions. So you can learn a lot from the people around you. You can make great friends. You can meet people from different teams and different departments, right? It's a huge company, lots of people. So that was really great. Having access to, to the talent that you get to interface with. Also very interesting. Learn a lot from them. Cons, it's a lot of politics. It's really slow. If you want to move up, you have to be very lucky. You have to wait until the people above you or around you move up first. It's like and things change a lot based on the politics of whoever is in charge. So that it like one day you'll be like, oh, these are the initiatives. Next week, scratch all those initiatives. We don't care about that. These are the new initiatives. And it changes on a whim, on a dime. sometimes it can feel kind of siloed, you know, like it doesn't feel like it's a full organism, like working together. It feels like everyone's just kind of doing their own thing. And there's that lack of like synergy, I guess. A lot of corporate lingo that some of the words that they come up with are so annoying. Like, I don't even know what they mean.
Definitely.
A lot of
goal is to
meetings.
confuse.
I don't even want to say any of them because then I'll unironically like start repeating them in my day-to-day life.
Align.
Oh my gosh, Melissa, no.
my big corporate job, one of my managers would say aligned all the time, and now I just use it unironically. It's a problem.
It's like, it's a problem
it
for
aligned
me.
everybody.
That's how big. Then it spreads.
Yeah,
it spreads. People in my current job say it now. Like, I've spread it everywhere.
Infectious.
Are we aligned?
A disease.
We're all aligned? Okay, good. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, it's a lot of like masking, right? It's a lot of masking. It's a lot of politics and niceties and all of these things. It's a lot of big personalities, different personalities. And here's the thing. I don't mind personalities. Like, I love personalities. I think it's funny when people are bad. I think it's funny when people are weird. I don't care about that. And I can get along with practically anyone. So like, I don't even care about that. It's more like sometimes people can be like mean for no reason, and the same, but that's just like anywhere. Like, that's like working in customer service, right? It's like the same thing. People are just like mean, or like if they take out their bad day on you, whatever. That was like not necessarily my experience at Disney. Disney, everyone is nicely mean. Everyone is passive aggressive if they're gonna be like rude or mean. Like, nobody's like mean to your face. They're all very like, we care and like we're so sunshine and rainbows, but sometimes that's not the case. But again, I feel like it's all good experience. Even bad experience is good experience because you're like, okay, cool, I got that in my arsenal now. I can like whip that out when I need it. But there's going to be big personalities everywhere all the time, no matter where you work, because everyone is different and has a personality. So it's the same thing with customer service. Yeah, like there's drama queens everywhere. There's drama queens everywhere. It doesn't matter what industry you work in. It doesn't matter if you didn't work in any industry. Go talk to your family. Like,
yeah,
that's real.
You said that. Yeah. Wow.
Drama queen.
Another like great experience that I had during development, right? Like, one of my favorite things was sitting in on pitches. So the thing about development is that you're the first team that like sees pitches, whether it's pitches coming from artists and like people who work in the company already, or from people from the outside, people who are represented by agents and whatnot. And sometimes you get pitches from like just individual writers and artists, or you get pitches from like other studios like Sony or whatever. That was really cool, getting to see like what's on the market, you know, what people are pitching, what stories people are interested in. Also seeing how different age groups and demographics differ so much about what they pitch and what kind of stories they want to tell. And also very interesting what kind of stories we chose to take and not. So there's...
Right.
The thing about development is that there is no right or wrong way to do something, right? Because everything is subjective. There's no like... If you like show a pitch to 10 people, maybe 3 of those people will hate it and 7 of those people will love it. You don't know. Like, it depends on how it resonates with you, right? So we have to, when you're dealing with something that can be so airy-fairy like that, you have to like have a parameter of like, what are we looking for, right? What do we want to focus on? It's not just about it being good or bad. It's more like, is this well-rounded? Is there an arc here? Are the characters interesting? Does it go with the brand? Is this something that could be on Disney Plus or not? You know, it's like, we got some pitches that are like, this is basically like Family Guy or Big Mouth. It's like, hey, maybe this is not gonna go on Disney Plus, right? This is like adult animation world, and this is like, why are you pitching us? This is like, doesn't make any sense. Or we would get something that's maybe a little bit mean-spirited, and it's like, we don't want comedy that's like makes people feel bad. We want comedy that's like more lighthearted, you know? So it's like very brand focused. So like that was another parameter. And during 2020 and 2021, there was also a special focus on like diversity and inclusion, which was awesome. Then everybody started doing away with that in 2022. Don't know what happened. So, but when
Don't know what happened.
Don't know what happened. Oh my God, it's such a mystery. But it was cool for a while when that was like they were trying to like start to incorporate that. And it goes back to what I was saying before of like initiatives change all the time, so you can't really get married to one idea or the other. You kind of just have to be really flexible when working these kinds of jobs, especially in a brand studio, a big brand name, right? Because it changes with the wind. It changes with whoever's in charge. So you have to be flexible, and flexibility is a good skill to have.
Can I ask a quick question? Maybe
Yes.
for any listeners who are trying to pitch shows, because I see that all the time. Like, how should they
Yes.
pitch? I think you have this kind of valuable. You were in the
No, we're
room
not.
so often, but what would you say for anything that you might say maybe not have gone all the way? Like you said, it's really hard, but like, what were some of the successful pitch skills that you saw? Like that person pitched really well, even if it didn't get picked up for X or Y reason. You're like, that was a really good pitch because of this reason.
Oh yeah, would love to provide the insight that I gained in terms of like pitching and just like developing shows in general. Any story, any idea, any character. And also I want to preface by saying there was so many good pitches that didn't make it, that we didn't take. There was so many times where like the whole team, we would hear a pitch and be like, this is so cool. These people are so cool. These characters are so cool. We wish we could make this, but it's not aligned with the brand. Or it's like, we don't have room on the slate right now, or we don't have money to buy it. Like that happens too. So like we heard a lot of good and bad pitches. Sometimes good pitches don't make it because it's not the right time. Not even because there's anything necessarily wrong with the pitch or the person or the content, right? Something I want to like say that's part of this preface is like, it's not always necessarily you. It's not always necessarily the story you're trying to tell. Sometimes it's like you have to align it with the right brand at the right place at the right time. That's why I'm like, it's a miracle anything gets made. Because even the things that were then on the development slate, not all of those make it. They get to the end of the pilot, right? Because we developed the pilot. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, actually, we only have one slot to fill for Disney Plus for like 2 years from now. And we have 3 pilots done. So we have to pick one. That's horrible. You have to kill your babies. Like that,
Yeah.
that was like the worst part of development is like you get so attached not just to the stories, but to the people, the talent professionals that you're working with, the writers, the artists that you're checking in with every day, being like, oh my God, the script is great. Oh my God, this is like going so well. And then you get to the end and it's like, oh, there's so many good things that don't get made. Like, that's just the reality. Feel like even getting it that far is a success in my eyes. Because I'm like, wow, it's a miracle we're even here, guys. Also, will say that I heard a lot of pitches that weren't quite there and were kind of off the mark. So let me try to like garner some like good, just general advice. If you're pitching to studios, like big studios, because it's like that's the direction you want to go. It's like, okay, well, this is how I'm going to be able to make this because studios have money. Hey, let's not lie. Studios, stable, have money. Pitching to studios, you have to pay attention to the brand. What do they have out right now? What kind of niche do you feel like your pitch can fill for them? Are they missing something? Are they looking for something else? Do they have like a lot of a certain type of content that they want more of? Or, you know, what kind of like characters, what kind of story, what kind of humor does this brand usually do? Right? It's like the whole, like, why did I get like a Big Mouth Family Guy pitch on my desk for Disney? Why are you wasting my executive's time? Don't waste people's time like that, and don't waste your time. It's just not going to happen like that, right? Pay attention to brand. If you're going to pitch to studios, pay attention to what they make. That means researching the brand, see what they have out. Then from there, you can be like, okay, I have this idea. I have these characters that can fit for like maybe these brands, right? Then you get into the nitty gritty of the story. You're selling some, so you have to act like you're selling something. Like you're marketing something. You might really know your characters and you might really care about them, but we don't. So you have to convince me to care. How do you convince somebody to care? You have to immerse me. You have to connect me to the plight, the comedy, the relationships. People care about relationships. People care about characters who are going through something, who have some sort of conflict, have some sort of arc, have something to learn, have something to do, right? The more successful pitches that we've seen just feel more well-rounded. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have everything figured out. That's another thing. Like a pitch is not supposed to be like you telling me like plot points. I'm bored. I don't care. I want to know what the character is feeling why are we here? And why does this need to be made? Why does this need to be made? Especially in animation, why does it need to be animated? Why don't you go pitch this to like, I don't know, somebody who can just film it, a CGI green screen, I don't care. Why does it need to be animated? What about the world? What about the adventure? What about the arcs? What about the character relationships or the character designs needs to be animated? That's very important for animation. There's a lot of pitches that begin. It's like, why isn't this live action? A lot of pitches, 30 to 45 minutes. Usually Disney ways, we scheduled 45 minutes to an hour, right? For a pitch. It would never actually be an hour or 45 minutes because some executive would always be 10 minutes late. Just be prepared for that. And the first 5-10 minutes is going to be everybody being like, so how are you doing? How are your kids? Like,
the traffic was crazy on the
my
110.
God. And then you have like 20 minutes maybe to actually pitch.
Got it.
Let's just be real.
Wow.
And then 20 to maybe 30 minutes to sell your story. Why is it important? Why should we care? Keep in mind that the people you're pitching to are hearing pitches all the time. They're burnt out and they've seen it all. They've seen it all. You think you're different, you're not. You think you're different, you're not. You're not. Everyone already has told the story. You have to tell it differently. That's what it is. There has to be something. There has to be a jazz. The pitches that get picked have a little something, have a little jazz. They do a little something different. Even you don't have to be completely different because again, nobody's different. It's all been done. Don't go with the mindset of like, no one has thought of this idea. Yes, they have. And they've pitched it 10 times already. Like, think of it like this idea probably has already been done. But the way that I'm doing it, the way that the characters are going through these things, the reasons why we care about it are zhuzhed up. Or they're like, they've fluffed up. Just putting that extra care into the details. The details are everything. Don't broad strokes go through plot points. We're falling asleep. It's really about the character. More often than not, character gets chosen over plot. Plot can fall flat oftentimes. And again, everything's been done. We're not connecting with plot. We're connecting with character experiences and emotions. That's like what makes humans watch things and care about things and get attached to things and like get obsessed with a character and like draw them 50 times. That's what gets it. It's like their conflict or their plight or their relationships. Character usually gets chosen over plot. Punchy comedy, can't go wrong with that either. Any like way that you can showcase, exercise your skills in writing, not just like emotionally, but also making things fun, making things funny, smart. Also a trap that people fall into, especially with animation and kids content, is they think that kids content needs to be stupid. It doesn't, unless it's like smartly stupid, if that makes any sense. A lot of the time, some pitches that we would get would be like, oh, this is for kids, so let's lower the bar. For some reason, no, you should raise the bar. It should be extra funny. It should be extra funny. It should be really clever, and it should be modern. And because kids are smart, and kids content like is consumed by kids who care about things and like are smart. And like you should never treat your audience poorly. You should always treat your audience like they're gonna get it. Even if they don't, that doesn't matter. That's a problem for later. Treat your audience like they're smart. And when you're pitching, your audience is not just who you're pitching to. Your audience is who consumes the content of that brand, right? It's whoever like is watching the streaming and whoever's online and like doing all of that stuff. You should keep that in mind. But you should also make things that you would watch, that you care about and you would like. Because if you go too far one direction, it's like, okay, I have to appease the brand. I have to appease like this audience that I don't really know. That's half of it. You have to also appease yourself. It has to be something that you're interested in because it's going to show when you pitch. You don't have to be the most social person. You don't have to be a public speaker to pitch correctly or whatever, right? There are some people who feel more comfortable speaking, to, a group of 5 executives. And there are some people who don't. They're a little bit more shy. If you're shy, that's fine. Like, because as long as you're interested in what you're talking about and what you're pitching, it's going to come through. As long as you're not just going through a list and plot points, like, then you're fine.
That was so interesting. Like,
yeah,
I learned a lot from that. I've never thought about pitching a show.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy. And a lot
people
of the time,
do it.
99% of the time is going to be a no. That doesn't mean that it's an unsuccessful pitch. I think if you get to a point where you're pitching and you're getting to interface with the people you're pitching with, ask for feedback. they'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Like if you ask and you're like, hey, I genuinely just want to thank you so much for the time. I want to know, what did you like about this and what didn't you like? Like, what could I work on? If you have any feedback, please let me know. Like, people will tell you. We told people. We were very nice about it, but we were like, hey, this is like why. You know, like whenever we had to like send pass emails, that's what we called them, we had to pass on pitches, we told them like, hey, this is like what we really liked. This is like what worked, right? And this is like ultimately when we had to say no. And you can take that feedback, and the more you pitch, the better you'll get at it too, is the thing. Just practice. Practice with your friends, practice with your family. Like if you're really into pitching and you want to like make a story, you want to be a showrunner, that's like your dream, practice and get feedback.
Yeah, definitely.
Something that you said that I really resonated with is like the importance of showing like characters and relationships. I know when I'm like watching something, what's important for me is how the relationships build the world. So I'm always thinking about the world we build when we talk about our relationships and who we're surrounded by and what we think of them. And I feel like some really great animated children's TV shows do a great job of building like a kinder, caring, or nicer world. And that to me just like is refreshing and good. And that's what I want for like the future generations, to see these relationships played out in ways that are compassionate and kind and caring.
That's why I love Craig of the Creek.
That's why I love
So
Craig of the
much.
Creek. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
That's a great show.
I'm glad we're on the same wavelength.
Can you believe Craig of the Creek's final episodes are airing this month? I don't want to
say
talk about
it. Don't say it.
Another one for the books. Another one for the books.
So true.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's more stuff will come. You know, there's been so many great things. Thank God, and more great things will come to you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I really hope that this episode reaches people, because you've
I
shared
hope
so
so.
much
I hope
like
it's helpful.
valuable information. Like all the time, you know, we're on the Discord for like people interested in animation, and there's always
Yeah.
questions like, what should I do for my pitch, or like my story, like the deck that they're building? And it's like all of this, they could just listen to this and get so much valuable insight.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope it's helpful. I would love for more people to know this information, because it's like I learned so much during my time there in development. Although even that, like I do want to, you know, move my way back into production, but that development experience was very valuable, and I, you know, want to use and share the information that I got, because it's like not readily available at all, at all, and it's like not what you think it is. It's not how you think it is at all.
Yeah. I have a quick question. Like coming from nonprofits, when we're talking about development, we're talking about money and just capital generally. What is development for animation?
Yeah, great question, because like these words in different aspects and in different environments mean different things. In development for animation, the development stage is the pitch to pilot process. So the way that it works is you hear a pitch, you like the pitch, you want to buy the pitch. So we as a team is like, okay, we like this pitch. Let's work with like our budgeting. You know, because at Disney, it was development creative and then development production. The development production part of the team would actually work on the pilots and work on budgeting and all of that stuff. We also worked with like the actual business affairs department, who helps with money, budgeting, and contracts. So we like a pitch, we want to buy the pitch. So we make an offer, like we work with business affairs and development production. We figure out an offer, what we want to like offer to the creator. Business affairs then like talks to their agent or whoever their business partner is, and then they figure out like a contract. Once that goes through, yay, we got the pitch. It gets added to the development slate, and then that creator of the pitch is now under a contract for however long, for whatever the agreement was that was made. And then in development, we develop it. We help the creator, whoever that talent professional is, we help them develop their pitch, their pilot, into like a full pilot / potential show. However long that takes, it usually takes about 2 years. So you're in this development process for 2 years. We don't, also the purpose of like the development team is not to do everything for you. It's to work with you and give you the resources to be able to do your pilot. So you work with development during that time. We develop the pilot, we develop the characters, we develop the script, we develop the show Bible. We actually make a pilot. It also, throughout that process, it goes through more like guillotines. If you pitch and all you have is like the PowerPoint of the pitch and the script, then the next step is to fluff up the script, make the script like really strong, and then make either a show Bible or a treatment. And then that gets judged again by the development executive team. And then it gets decided whether you have to work on the script a little bit more, work on the characters a little bit more, or if we can move it through to start the pilot process. So there's more like guillotines even within development. Because not everything that gets pitched and added to the slate even gets a pilot made out of it. Sometimes things get stagnant and drop. Or sometimes things just don't work. It's like there have been a lot of times where it's like it was a really good pitch, it was a really good script, but then like it drops off, like I don't know, it just doesn't quite work, or like the timing doesn't quite work, or like the team doesn't mesh well. Because also another part of the development process is finding and building a team. So it's like if the pitch was we had this one time where the pitch was by 2 writers, they didn't draw. So we had to find storyboard artists for them to work with, right? And to make that pilot. So it's also about matching people. We're matchmakers in the development world. Sometimes those matches don't quite work. So there's also that. It's like people managing also. So
definitely.
I hope that paints a better picture of what it is. Because it's a lot of everything. It's even before, like pre-production. It's like the development. You're like developing the beginning of something. It's like a baby, right? And then you're like sending it off to college. Hopefully it will fly. But sometimes they fall.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sweet,
A precious
little
little
pilot.
seed.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, since we're already over an hour, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, what are your future goals? I know you said you want to go back into production. What's the future looking like for Nicole?
Hopefully bright. Because here's the thing about animation. It's been kind of rough out there, right? Not just in animation, in entertainment in general. If you are someone who is, working in entertainment or animation, or know someone who is, I'm sure you know this, but things have been rough. There's not been a lot of movement in the industry. Things aren't really getting made right now. And there was a lot of layoffs in 2022 and 2023. And even this past year, there was some layoffs again too in these studios. So things are kind of stagnant. There was the strikes back in 2023 that also put like a stop to things, right? It's a little bit stagnant right now. It's a little bit like unsure, and there's like the whole AI question going on and all of this other things and these contracts and all that, right? Uncertain times. But on the bright side, when uncertain times happen, that also means that like things have to change, because that is the logical next step. And change can often be difficult, but very exciting. And I'm ready for things to start moving again and changing. I don't care how. I just care that it does at this point. Because like this stagnation has been really rough to deal with. I'm not going to lie. I've actually been out of the industry this past year because I was like, I'm taking a break from the industry. I'm working just, to stay afloat. I'm tired of like hitting my head up against the wall. My future hopefully will be back in production world, animation world. I would love to be able to help produce things, be a producer, whether it's like my own things or like other things. I want to get more experience learning about that world, getting back into production. Although like I really appreciated and learned a lot of things from development, I'm not sure that I want to go back into like the development world, at least not now. Production, I feel like, has at least something that like is interesting about it to me is that it has more tangible results, and like direct results. And I gained lots of like really cool development skills that I can incorporate now, I think, into production. I like having this double mind of like production and development now, because I feel like I can use that for the powers of good. So I want to like bring that into like more of like the production side of things. Eventually I would love to produce and to write, like writer producer kind of title. We'll see what opportunities arise. I'm going to keep going after things and see what sticks. You kind of just have to throw spaghetti at the wall and go with the spaghetti sticks.
Definitely. Well, I hope only the best for you, Nicole, because you clearly have great experience and you're on to bigger and better things. You're also very healthy. Like you were like, I'm gonna take my time before going to college. I'm taking a break from the industry. Like,
Yeah.
what a healthy way to live life.
Yeah.
I hope so, because sometimes, you know, I'm like, oh, am I making the right choice? But are we ever? Like, I don't know. I only know the choice that I'm making, right?
So true.
Yeah.
Getting
But
caught
thank
in
you.
the what ifs will tear your mind apart.
Exactly. And that's a poisoned well to drink from. Can't be drinking from that. It's like,
Mm.
no.
So
Exactly.
true.
Yeah. But thank you. And I mean, I hope that everyone on this call can get what they want from like this, you know, from where they want to be.
Well, Barb, do you have any final questions for Nicole?
Do you have a song stuck in your head now?
Now it's just Red Wine Supernova because I talked about it.
Yeah.
Fair.
I don't care that. Yeah, we don't listen. It's gonna be that now because like I had to remember. Oh, what was the last? It was that. Maybe it'll be something else.
Do you have any final words of advice we could share?
Oh God, people listen to this are in animation, want to do animation, right?
Ideally, that's the goal.
Ideally.
But it could also be just no,
Or just like any like
just the
entertainment, like
guys.
creative stuff,
Yeah.
entertainment, writing, any creative stuff, whatever you want to make, want to be part of making something or make something yourself. It is important. Do it. Like it is important and it matters. Like a lot.
No, that's so
Definitely
sweet.
do it.
Yeah.
It is important.
Yeah.
Whatever you're working on, it matters.
Yeah, it does.
That's good. Wholesome. What a good way to start 2025. Okay. Nicole, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you
It
so much
was
for having
a
me. This
delight.
was great. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm so glad. It was wonderful to talk to you guys.
It was great
I
to
know.
meet you. Thank you for
You too.
sharing your story.
Happy
It was
to.
so
Hope
fun.
it's helpful. Hope it helped you guys or someone. Hope it was insightful
I feel
in some way.
knowledgeable.
Cool. Hey, I won.
I won.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. It was
Yeah.
a delight.
It's delightful to
Thank
meet
you.
you. Have a good
Thank you.
day.
You
Bye,
too.
Nicole.
Bye.
That was our conversation with Nicole.
What a beautiful spirit. I feel like
know.
I channeled my mom when I said that. What a beautiful spirit. So imagine Blindog and Yaga saying that and not me.
I was gonna say, is Belinda in the room with us? That was awesome. I feel very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, honestly, because I've always wanted to know more about the development pipeline, because that is something I thought about like genuinely pursuing. And now I'm like, I don't know if I'm tough enough. Maybe I am, but I just care so much, you know?
Yeah. And I think like based on the discussions we've had here on the podcast, like a part that you really love about producing and being a producer is like working with other people and helping them and problem solving with others, which it definitely seems like a part of development, but like having to let go of that relationship, just like,
It sounds like you have to break up with people all the time, man.
yeah.
I don't want to break up with people all the time. But maybe that's something I need to learn. Like, that's an area of growth I could really benefit from too. So, push myself out of my comfort zone could be a valuable experience.
Yeah.
Food for thought. Wow, that was really cool. Nicole's great. We have the best guests.
We have the best guests. They're all like, oh, I don't know if you want to hear my story. And then they have amazing stories.
Literally every single time. They're like, I'm not that interesting. And then they're the most interesting person.
Yeah.
People are so cool. Marv, I do want to share before we go my New Year's resolution for the year. It's to watch 100 new movies before 2026. And I'm gonna finally use Letterboxd. I'm gonna like track them so I can keep track. This is my goal. It's a fun goal. It's not like a serious one. It's for funsies.
I feel like 100 is a low goal.
A low?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's just under 2 a week.
I don't think I watch a new movie that often, but this is my goal at the moment.
Okay. I love it. Report
It's
back.
achievable. Follow me on Letterboxd. If you or anyone you know would like to be a guest, please email us. or message us on Tumblr, Instagram, maybe Blue Sky if I feel like making a Blue Sky. Yeah, we're very excited for what's to come.
Yeah, big things coming.
Got a big storm coming.
That's a good one.
And remember,
There's
not
one
right
way.
to attend film school.
There's not one right way to land a job at Disney.
There's not one right way to pitch your pilot.
There's not one right way to avoid your family on the holidays.
Let's say goodbye to our listeners.
Bye.
Bye.